Regina/the Queen. v. JAH. Lawful argument against jurisdiction and sovereignty. 1. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Battenberg's fraudulent coronation. 1. The person who purports to be the Queen has never, in fact, rightfully or lawfully been crowned as the sovereign. This knowledge stems from the fact that the coronation stone, the Stone of Destiny, Bethel, Jacob's pillar that Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Battenberg was crowned upon is a fake. Their real coronation stone, made from Bethel porphyry, weighing more than 400 weight. 458 pounds, according to the BBC telex and the film The Coronation Stone, Covenant Recordings, and Ian R. Hamilton QC in 3 of his books, No Stone Unturned, pages 36, 44, A Touch of Treason, page 50, and The Taking of the Stone of Destiny, pages 27, 35, was removed from Westminster Abbey at 04:00 hours on the 25th of December in 1950, by his group of 4 Scottish nationalist students, which included and was led by Ian Robertson Hamilton himself. The other 3 were Alan Stewart, Gavin Vernon and Kay Matheson, as stated in his books. Further details at http://jah.net/stone.htm. Further proof that she did not want it televised at her coronation. See the YouTube link attached below to. Their real coronation stone, National Treasure No. 1, was taken to Scotland where, in Glasgow, it was handed over to Bertie Gray to repair it, and was later hidden by industrialist and philanthropist John Rollo in his factory, under his office floor, according to Ian R. Hamilton's books. No Stone Unturned and The Taking of the Stone of Destiny, and the factory manager, when I visited him. 3. A fake stone copy had previously been made in 1920 by stonemason Bertie Gray, for a prior plan to repatriate the coronation stone, and it was made of Scottish sandstone from a quarry near Scone in Perthshire, weighing 300 weight. 336 pounds. The conspirators had used it to practice with, before going to London to Westminster Abbey to remove the real coronation stone from the abbey. It was that fake stone copy which was placed on the high altar stone at Arbroath Abbey, at midday on the 11th April of 1951, wrapped in a Scottish saltire, St. Andrew's flag, dark blue with white diagonal cross on it, and found by the authorities, then transported to England, where it was used for the Queen's coronation, according to Bertie Gray's children in the Daily Record newspaper article. Link to Daily Record Article 4. The stone upon which Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Battenberg was crowned weighs exactly 300 weight, 336 pounds, as attested to by Historic Scotland in their official booklet titled The Stone of Destiny, Symbol of Nationhood, obtainable from Edinburgh Castle, published by Historic Scotland, ISBN 1-900-1168-44-8, who have had the stone that she was crowned on in their care, in Edinburgh Castle, since it was returned to Scotland by John Major's Conservative government in 1996. 5. As previously stated, the genuine coronation stone weighs more than 400 weight. 458 pounds, but the one that Elizabeth A.M. Battenberg was crowned on, that has been on display in Edinburgh Castle since 1996, weighs 336 pounds, not 458 pounds. And thus cannot be the genuine coronation stone, for that and other reasons, that I will go into in great and minute detail later, during the hearing on 9th of May 2011. Therefore, never having been lawfully crowned, she has no authority to put the defendant on trial and the judge has no authority to try him, because the judge's authority comes from her. Further, and without prejudice to the above. 2. Some of Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Battenberg's other crimes. Sample crimes, points of law. 1. Mrs. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Battenberg/Mountbatten, unlawfully residing in Buckingham Palace, London, also known by the criminal aliases Windsor and QE2, was knowingly and willfully, with malice aforethought, fraudulently crowned on a fake coronation stone, Leah Fale, Stone of Destiny, Bethel, Jacob's Pillar on June 2 in 1953, and has been fraudulently masquerading as the rightful British sovereign, crown for the last 58 years, which the defendant can prove beyond doubt, and is a major part of why the fraudulent British so-called crown is attacking the defendant with this false, malicious, frivolous, ridiculous and politically motivated charge. It is Mrs. Elizabeth A. Battenberg who should be arrested and charged, for her innumerable acts of high treason against God and Christ, whose church she falsely claims to head and in defiance of whom she had herself fraudulently crowned, and whom she has continued to rule in defiance of, and in opposition to, ever since, not the defendant. 2. Allowing people to legislate in defiance of God's law, Deuteronomy 4, verse 2, Deuteronomy 12, verse 32, that she swore and affirmed, in writing, to maintain to the utmost of her power, Exhibit 1. See the link below, and, in many cases, actually reversing what the law states into being the very opposite of it. She has fraudulently imprisoned and punished people for enforcing the law themselves as God commands them to do, and thus unlawfully prevented or deterred others from doing so. She has given royal assent to 3,401 acts of Parliament, as of 24/03/2011, and thus broken the law against legislating 3,401 times. The very first time she gave royal assent to any act of Parliament, or any other piece of legislation, or allowed Parliament or anyone to legislate, she broke her coronation oath and was thus no longer the monarch, with immediate effect, even if she had been lawfully crowned in the first place, which she most definitely was not. Proof that she has broken her oath and her word, YouTube link see below. Deuteronomy 4, verse 2. Ye shall not add to the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of the Lord your God which I command you. Deuteronomy 11, verse 1. Therefore thou shalt love the Lord thy God, and keep his charge, and his statutes, and his judgments, and his commandments, always. Deuteronomy 12, verse 8. Ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. Deuteronomy 12, verse 32. What thing soever I command you, observe to do it, thou shalt not add thereto, nor diminish from it. A bill must have royal assent before it can become an act of Parliament, law. See link below. 3. Allowing the forming of political parties in demon-crazy, democracy, to divide, weaken, conquer and ruin the people. Deuteronomy 5, verse 32, Deuteronomy 17, verse 20, Matthew 12, verse 25. Deuteronomy 5, verse 32. Ye shall observe to do therefore as the Lord your God hath commanded you, ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. Deuteronomy 17, verse 20. That his, the sovereign's, heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment, to the right hand, or to the left. Matthew 12, verse 25. And Jesus knew their thoughts, and said unto them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. 4. Removal of the death penalty that is prescribed as the deterrent for capital crimes in the law that she swore to maintain to the utmost of her power, for example sodomy, Deuteronomy 23, verse 17, Leviticus 20, verse 13, pedophilia, rape, murder, adultery, etc., thus encouraging these crimes, that are now legion. Deuteronomy 23, verse 17. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. Leviticus 20, verse 13. If a man lie also with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination, they shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. Etc., etc., etc. 5. Actually encouraging and promoting sodomy, by legalizing it, then further enacting unlawful anti-discrimination legislation, promoting it in schools, and giving knighthoods to high-profile sodomites in the music, film and fashion industries, instead of having them lawfully executed as a deterrent to others. Music, Elton John. Film, Ian McKellen of Stonewall, John Gielgud. Fashion, Norman Hartnell knighted 1977 and Hardy Amize knighted 1989. 6. enriching herself in defiance of God's law that she swore to uphold, at the expense of her subjects, driving them into debt slavery, Egypt, poverty and homelessness. Deuteronomy 17, verse 14-20. Including the collecting of graven images and expensive jewelry, her famous art and Fabergé collections, etc. Deuteronomy 17, verse 14. When thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Deuteronomy 17, verse 15. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. See Psalm 2, 1. From among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee, thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. Deuteronomy 17, verse 16. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, slavery under man-made laws, to the end that he should multiply horses, forasmuch as the Lord hath said unto you, Ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Deuteronomy 17, verse 17. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away, neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. Deuteronomy 17, verse 18. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priests the Levites. Deuteronomy 17, verse 19. And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, to keep all the words of this law and these statutes, to do them. Deuteronomy 17, verse 20. That his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment, to the right hand, or to the left. 7. Legalizing, facilitating and engaging in usury, interest, that has caused the ruin, bankruptcy and debt slavery of the entire nation. http://truth.net/greenco.htm. Deuteronomy 23, verse 19. Thou shalt not lend upon usury, interest to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury. 8. Ignoring the year of release, where all debts are forgiven, cancelled every 7 years, and the year of Jubilee every 50 years, where all property is redistributed back to its owner and the wealth shared out, so that there will be no poor amongst the people. Deuteronomy 15, verse 1. At the end of every 7 years thou shalt make a release. Deuteronomy 15, verse 2. And this is the manner of the release, every creditor that lendeth aught unto his neighbor shall release it, he shall not exact it of his neighbor, or of his brother, because it is called the Lord's release. Deuteronomy 15, verse 4. Save when, to the end that, there be no poor among you. Leviticus 25, verse 10. And ye shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. 9. Elizabeth A. Battenberg has also broken God's law by allowing the EU, which is not the British people's racial brother, but is a stranger, to rule over you, us, in contravention of Deuteronomy 17, verse 15. Deuteronomy 17, verse 14. When thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Deuteronomy 17, verse 15. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee, thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. Deuteronomy 7, verse 2. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them, and utterly destroy them, thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Deuteronomy 7, verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them, thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. Deuteronomy 7, verse 4. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods, so will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. Deuteronomy 7, verse 5. But thus shall ye deal with them, ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. Deuteronomy 7, verse 6 For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Deuteronomy 7, verse 7 The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. Deuteronomy 7, verse 8 But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt. Deuteronomy 7, verse 9 Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. Deuteronomy 7, verse 10 And repayeth them that hate, or disobey, him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth, or disobeyeth him, he will repay him to his face. Deuteronomy 7, verse 11 Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments, and the statutes, and the judgments, which I command thee this day, to do them. Deuteronomy 7, verse 12 Wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these judgments, and keep, and do them, that the Lord thy God shall keep unto thee the covenant and the mercy which he sware unto thy fathers. Deuteronomy 7, verse 13 And he will love thee, and bless thee, and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb, and the fruit of thy land, thy corn, and thy wine, and thine oil, the increase of thy kine, and the flocks of thy sheep, in the land which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee. Deuteronomy 7, verse 14 Thou shalt be blessed above all people, there shall not be male or female barren among you, or among your cattle. Deuteronomy 7, verse 15 And the Lord will take away from thee all sickness, and will put none of the evil diseases of Egypt, which thou knowest, upon thee, but will lay them upon all them that hate thee. Deuteronomy 7, verse 16 And thou shalt consume all the people which the Lord thy God shall deliver thee, thine eye shall have no pity upon them, neither shalt thou serve their gods, for that will be a snare unto thee. Deuteronomy 7, verse 17 If thou shalt say in thine heart, These nations are more than I, how can I dispossess them? Deuteronomy 7, verse 18 Thou shalt not be afraid of them, but shalt well remember what the Lord thy God did unto Pharaoh, and unto all Egypt, and Pharaoh ruled the whole known world at that time. Deuteronomy 7, verse 19 The great temptations which thine eyes saw, and the signs, and the wonders, and the mighty hand, and the stretched out arm, whereby the Lord thy God brought thee out, so shall the Lord thy God do unto all the people of whom thou art afraid. Deuteronomy 7, verse 20 Moreover the Lord thy God will send the hornet among them, until they that are left, and hide themselves from thee, be destroyed. Deuteronomy 7, verse 21 Thou shalt not be affrighted at them, for the Lord thy God is among you, a mighty God and terrible. Deuteronomy 7, verse 22 And the Lord thy God will put out those nations before thee by little and little, thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. Deuteronomy 7, verse 23 But the Lord thy God shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction, until they be destroyed. Deuteronomy 7, verse 24 And he shall deliver their kings into thine hand, and thou shalt destroy their name from under heaven. There shall no man be able to stand before thee, until thou have destroyed them. Deuteronomy 7, verse 25 The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire, thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, for it is an abomination to the Lord thy God. Deuteronomy 7, verse 26 Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. Deuteronomy 8, verse 1 All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live, and multiply, and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers. Deuteronomy 8, Verse 2 And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee, and, to test thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments, law, or not. God warned his people, you, the British Israel people, http:// JAH. Truth.net/Britka.htm in the Revelation/Apocalypse to John, to come out of the mother of harlots, abominable, Revelation 17, verse 5, Babylonian market system, http:// JAH. Truth.net/Robab. R.B.A.B. HTM Revelation/Apocalypse 18, verse 4 And I heard another voice from heaven, saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye take not part in her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues, punishment. 10. She has allowed witchcraft and condoned it. See link below. In her/the realm and in her/the armed forces. Exodus 22, verse 18 Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Deuteronomy 18, verse 9 When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. Deuteronomy 18, verse 10 There shall not be found among you any one that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or, that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch. Deuteronomy 18, verse 11 Or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer, medium. Deuteronomy 18, verse 12 For all that do these things, are, an abomination unto the Lord, and because of these abominations the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee. Deuteronomy 18, verse 13 Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. Matthew 5, verse 48. Matthew 5, verse 48 Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Deuteronomy 32, verse 15 But the beloved waxed fat, and rebelled, thou art waxen fat, thou art grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook God which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. Deuteronomy 32, verse 16 They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods, with abominations provoked they him to anger. Deuteronomy 32, verse 17 They sacrificed unto devils, not to God, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. Revelation/Apocalypse 21, verse 7 He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my adopted son. Revelation 21, verse 8 But the fearful, and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars, shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. She has given an OBE to Joanne Jo Rowling, J.K. Rowling, who promotes witchcraft, thus herself condoning the promotion of witchcraft, and the poisoning of the minds of the nation and its children. The other and major part of witchcraft, sorcery, that she has also allowed, and probably actually invested in, is the chemical and pharmaceutical industry that is slowly poisoning the nation through chemical fertilizers, pesticides, chemtrails, vaccines, etc., and other pharmaceutical products/medicines/poisons, witches' brews, potions, in order to maximize their profits, because they do not make any money from healthy people. That is why there are more sick people every year and a correspondingly higher NHS budget, rather than less sick people and a correspondingly shrinking NHS budget. The NHS, doctors and pharmacists are therefore obviously harming the population, not healing it. See links below. Note well that it states in Revelation/Apocalypse 21, verse 8 All liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone. And the word parliament means speaking lies from the French words parler which means to speak, and mentir which means to tell lies. Also the word politics, poly meaning many, ticks are blood-sucking parasites, thus politics means many blood-sucking parasites. 11. Each and every single one of the above crimes carries the death penalty, with public execution, under the law that she swore to maintain to the utmost of her power, for not doing so, along with all those who likewise reject the law of God. Deuteronomy 17, verse 8-13, Deuteronomy 27, verse 26, Malachi chapter 4. Deuteronomy 17, verse 8 If there arise a matter too hard for thee in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within thy gates, then shalt thou arise, and get thee up into the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. Deuteronomy 17, verse 9 And thou shalt come unto the priests the Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show thee the sentence of judgment. Deuteronomy 17, verse 10 And thou shalt do according to the sentence, which they of that place which the Lord shall choose shall show thee, and thou shalt observe to do according to all that they inform thee. Deuteronomy 17, verse 11 According to the sentence of the law which they shall teach thee, and according to the judgment which they shall tell thee, thou shalt do, thou shalt not decline to do the sentence which they shall show thee, and turn not away from it to the right hand, nor to the left. Deuteronomy 17, verse 12 And the man that will do presumptuously, and will not hearken unto the priest that standeth to minister there before the Lord thy God, or unto the judge, even that man shall die, and thus thou shalt put away the evil from Israel. Deuteronomy 17, verse 13 And all the people shall hear, and fear, and do no more presumptuously, in thinking they are a law unto themselves. Deuteronomy 27, verse 26 Cursed be he, like Elizabeth, that confirmed not all the words of this law to do them. Matthew 5, verse 17 Think not that I am come to destroy the law, or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. In the Greek original, plerou equals to fully preach it. Matthew 5, verse 18 For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no way pass from the law, till all the prophecies be fulfilled. Matthew 5, verse 19 Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven, but whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 5, verse 24 I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes, lawyers, and Pharisees, politicians, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. James 2, verse 10 He who breaks the least of these commandments and teaches others to do so is guilty of all. The renowned English jurist Sir William Blackstone famously stated, No enactment of man can be considered law unless it conforms to the law of God. All of the law references quoted are copied from the Sovereign's Bible, Exhibit 2. See below, upon which Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Battenberg's coronation oath, Exhibit 1, was sworn, all emphasis mine, containing God's law that she swore to maintain to the utmost of her power. It is a special large print and specially bound edition of the King James Authorized Version, 1611, of the Holy Bible, that she placed her right hand upon, swore the coronation oath upon and then kissed, before she signed the coronation oath, Exhibit 1. 12. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Battenberg is therefore not only massively in breach of contract, but also massively in breach of the law, and thus is not only not the lawful sovereign, never has been, and thus has no jurisdiction to prosecute me, but is also a criminal, guilty of capital crimes, that carry the death penalty, according to the law she swore to maintain to the utmost of her power. That perfect royal law of liberty was given by God to the British Israel peoples to protect the British Israel peoples from exploitation, oppression, poverty and harm, and which God has warned the British Israel peoples to return to, with dire consequences for failure to do so. Her obscene wealth and that of her relatives, cronies and accomplices must be seized and shared out amongst the poor and homeless. Malachi 4, verse 1-4, Behold, the day cometh, that shall burn like an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly, shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave of them neither root nor branch, nothing. Malachi 4, Verse 2 But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth, and grow up as calves of the stall. Malachi 4, verse 3 And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. Malachi 4, verse 4 Remember ye, and return to the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Malachi 4, verse 5 Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Malachi 4, verse 6 And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. See verse 1. 13. The person who purports to be queen was, in fact, as proven above, never rightfully nor lawfully the sovereign crown. Therefore the Crown/prosecution/Regina has no authority to put the defendant on trial and the judge has no authority to try him, because the judge's authority comes from her. 14. In addition, without prejudice to the above, based on God's law that she swore to maintain to the utmost of her power, Exhibit 1, the Queen is in breach of contract. She has amongst other things accumulated a large amount of personal wealth and done many other things that are expressly forbidden, some of which are listed above, and so she has breached her contract with God and the British Israel people. Therefore, even if, which is not admitted, the Queen was genuinely crowned, the breach of contract disqualifies her from sitting and renders null and void proceedings instituted in her name. It is therefore of the utmost importance that Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Battenberg and the Sovereign's Bible, that is kept in Lambeth Palace, be present in court on May 9 for my challenge to her jurisdiction and sovereignty to be heard, and for me to face my false accuser, examine her and have her arrested. Class Marker F. Number E. 1. 8. 5 1953.